All right, I'm going to go through this really quickly. We're going to make a non-parametric schedule and a non-parametric annotation that you can use to quickly call out your finishes and your interior elevations. So I have an interior elevation that's looking at this wall in the dining room, and then if you look at it on your finish schedule, there's the dining living. And on the east wall, which is the one we're looking at, it has three different paint colors. So in order to show those paint colors, you can do one of many things. You could do, one of the various options that Allison showed you, either in floor plan, but I'm going to show you how to do it in elevation. So we're going to take this guy, create a generic annotation, and then tag these with a non-parametric generic annotation that's going to allow us to make a little schedule of these different finish callouts. So to do that, you just go to File, New Family, go to your English Imperial Annotations and pick Generic Annotation and open it. And it's going to give you this little note. You can just delete this if you're watching this. And then go to Create, and we're going to make a new label. So you just pick on the label and click at the center of these two guys, and it notice that it has generic annotations here and has no parameters for us. So we're just going to create a parameter here, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to call this guy generic material tag, and I'm going to make it an instance parameter, and we're going to make it a text parameter. Click OK, and then I make another one, and I'm going to call it generic material description. And I'm going to make that an instance parameter, and I'm going to make that a text as well. Okay, and then I'm going to make one more just to show you the difference, and I'll name this generic material. And instead of text, I'll pick material so you can see the difference between those guys, and I'll make that an instance as well. Okay, and then the only thing I want to move over to here is the material tag, because it's going to read from this later on for the note block, and that's why we need them in there. So I'm just going to click OK, and then I'm going to go pick this, and if you want to change the text, you can pick it and go to Edit Text, change that. You can make this a little smaller. You probably need it to be that big. If you wanted to have a particular, let's make the sample a little smaller. I'm going to edit the label and make the sample value like PT1. Click OK. If you wanted to have a box around it or something, you can go to Create, and you can use a line, right? And if you wanted to have kind of that diamond box, you could do that, right? And then let's I'll just draw a line from here to here. So you could draw that little box around it if you wanted to, and then maybe this guy needs to be centered a little bit better right in it. So you could do that, and then you're just going to save it, and I'll save it, I think I've got one here, as generic material finish, right? And so then I'm just going to load that into project and close. And it wants to place it. You see how it's kind of placing this guy? I don't really want it to place it in the floor plan, so I'm just going to hit escape a couple of times. And I'm going to go to my east elevation where I want to place it. And I'm just going to scroll down to my families, and it will come up with the name that you gave it, so generic material finish. I'm just going to left click on this and drag it in. And I'm just going to left click, and it's going to place that guy. And if I pick it, oh, I forgot to, let's do this, let me delete it. If I drag it in, I need to give it a leader, right, when I drag it in, so I'm going to give it 1 leader, and then left click. And that's if you want a leader. You can obviously do it with a leader, or if you want to place it in the wall, you can drag it in, right, and leave the leaders at 0, and it'll just place it in the wall, right? So with leader, without leader, And then basically all you do is come in and type in something here. So PT1, right? So that has PT1 in it. I'll use this one as a non-leadered one, and I'll just move it over here. And you can just fill this in. So you would look at your room schedule, right, and see, and just make it correspond. That's why I'm saying it's not really parametric. If you're using a leader, you can pick it and go to Edit Type and change the leader callout, right, to something else. Make that straight. And then if I just copy this guy over, maybe to here, and then copy this guy over maybe to here, right? And then I just go and update these. So if this is PT3, I just start filling it in manually. PT2, and then maybe this is a curtain wall one. So if I move it over right into the curtain wall, CW1, and then maybe if I copy this guy over, we have also a curtain wall finish that's a little bit different, right? So but it's not reading parameters off of any of the model objects, right? So CW2. Okay, so now that I've got some of these guys filled out, I can go make a schedule using these. It's not typically it's a schedule, but it's a special kind. It's called a note block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in. Let me make sure. And go to my View tab and go to Schedules and go to Note Block. And you'll notice it's giving me the name of that generic annotation, right? And it wants me to name this. So I'll name this, wall finish schedule. Okay. And I'll click OK. And you'll see it's giving me the options for the parameters that I made. So first thing is going to be the tag. Second thing, I'll do the material description, which was the text, and then I'll do the generic material, which is this guy, and I'll click OK. All right, and you'll see it gives me all of the PTs, and if I go to my sorting and grouping, I can sort it just like a schedule because it is one. So now it'll sort it by that. And then if I want to, I can just come in and manually type in, finish one, whatever it is. So it would be, if it was wood or, paint or, white cloud paint. Actually, this is a curtain wall, so it would be anodized aluminum, right? So maybe this one is anodized aluminum, but let's pull it out a little bit so I can see it. And this one, maybe this one's black. Right, and then the paints you can just come in and fill in, colors. You might want to have the model name or something. So, I'll just put. So this is not connected to anything. You are just basically making this up, right? And you can see it actually allowed the P2 to be red and blue. So I'll make this color green. Okay, and so if PT2 is really red, I can come in here and change this back to red. Okay. All right, so once you've got that, you've got a little schedule, and you can pull it onto your sheet. If you wanted to, this other category, which you don't have to put in here, you can click on this and it'll actually let you pick a material and it'll fill it in there. So if you wanted this silver, right, and then, although I don't know why that's blue if it's silver, which is a little red, weird, but if you also aluminum, maybe we do anodized red for this one, right? And then you could fill in these guys, and it's pulling from a material. So if you update the material name, it will update that. So you could do that if you wanted to, but it's up to you. And so once you get that guy done, if I go to my interior elevation, wherever you're pulling these things from, you can take that note, which is going to come up under, there's my wall material, my wall finish schedule, right? And if I pull that guy out, you'll see it'll bring that note block out. We'll just place it up here for right now, right? And it has all of those guys in there. And then if you were to come in and I were to double click, and this is PT2 or PT1 maybe instead of PT2, I could come in and change this from PT2 to PT1, and you'll see once I hit enter, right, it changes that one to red, right? So if you come in, you can just basically make up your own schedule. And if I were to copy this one and make another paint color or another tag, right, it'll kind of add it to that guy, right? So, but we would want this to be PT4. And if you did that, it would do that. If you need to get rid of the duplicates, you can do that as well. You know, if you have multiple PT1s in there and you don't want to see each one, you can just, you know, modify this guy. And if you do the sorting and grouping, you can get rid of itemize every instance, and it will, you know, cut down on that. All right, so that's basically the quickest way to do it. The other way is to do a material schedule with a material mark and put every single material on there, which is a little bit difficult, but we can talk about that later if you want to.